Now, I'm about to broach a sensitive subject, and I'm talking mostly to my ladies in regards to this, and I know I'm going to get some kind of feedback because a couple people are going to get offended, but I need to tell the truth, and I need to tell it now. There are some social and religious organizations that are emphasizing the submission thing too much. I'm going to tell you. Submission is necessary in a relationship, and submission is not a bad word. People look at the word submission as a form of being ignorant, and it's not. You're not a doormat if you submit. And if you look up the proper meanings, you'll understand what that means as a female. But see, what it is we got feminist organizations running around out here brainwashing our young people to think that they don't need a man in their life. If you're a heterosexual woman living in this world and you want to be involved with members of the opposite sex, at some point in time you're going to want a long-term relationship, and it's not going to last if you have this attitude that you're not willing to submit and be cooperative to your mate. That's all that is to it. And if you don't like the fact that I use the word submit, okay, well then you're just going to have to be a little bit upset. Submit and surrender are not the same thing. And see, the current meaning of the word submission is that you're surrendering, that you're giving up yourself, and that has nothing to do with it. And see, there are certain social and religious organizations as well on the flip side that are emphasizing that women submit to every single man they get involved with. Submit, submit, submit. But see, the thing is, they fail to tell you that they're taking that out of context. When they're referring to a man, they're referring to a full man. A man is totally mature, a man who is responsible, a man who is spiritually sound and makes wise decisions. That's when they refer to the word man. But you have some of these organizations, if you got a fool for a husband, they're telling you to submit to him anyway, and that's wrong. That's wrong. If you submit to a fool, you're a bigger fool. You heard me. If you submit to a fool, you are a bigger fool. And unfortunately, there's some women that are in marriages right now, but because there's certain organizations they're attached to, be it social or religious or financial, whatever the case may be that they're heavily involved in, they have ingrained in their mind, well, I'm his wife, I got to submit to him, no matter how foolish he is. He's running around out here in the street with a whole bunch of females and males possibly. Can't keep a job. You don't know where your next meal is coming from. This has been going on for years. Can't stay out of jail. Not a leader to his children. Children hardly even know who he is. You're doing most of the work all the time. You've been doing the work of two people for years. But because of your organization you belong to tells you need to submit to your husband. First of all, husband has a meaning within itself. Look it up. Not every man walking around with a testosterone count is a husband. Let me say that again. Not every man around here with a testosterone count is a husband. There are some men out here, they don't need to get married, and they shouldn't have any intention of getting married because they're not mentally and emotionally equipped to handle it. Being a husband requires a certain mindset. Being a husband requires a certain set of emotional values, a certain amount of spirituality. That's what a true husband is. So if you have that, and his priority is his family, and his priority is his household, and his priority is taking care of those he's responsible for, you've got a husband. And he shows respect to those that he is serving. But if you've got somebody just because you share the last name and all they do is spend up every single dime that's supposed to come into the household, and they're running around creating all this drama and confusion out there in the streets, bringing the streets in your house and try to justify it, that's not a husband. Because they're putting what's out there ahead of what's in his house. And what he fails to understand is, and once you receive a home is a blessing. And it's your responsibility to take care of that blessing. So just because he has your last name, ladies, If he's acting like a dang fool, he's not your husband. He's just a dang fool you married to. And the longer you put up with it, that makes you a dang fool too. So don't sit up here and think, oh, well, I'm going to be a good woman and I'm going to pray him out of the situation, this, that, and the other. First of all, you probably didn't even do your homework to see that this person was acting this way before they met you. There is no way any woman that's supposed to be married to a man's got to spend every single waking day wondering where he is and every single waking day wondering where their next meal is coming from. Every day, all the time, but you turn around and do it in the name of God, Jehovah, Allah, Yahweh, because you want to be a good wife. You're not being a good wife. And what kind of signal are you giving to your children? What kind of example are you presenting to your sons? You're telling your sons to look for women just like you. You're telling your sons that it's okay to act just like his foolish father. You're telling your daughters that it's okay to get walked all over. You're telling your daughters that it's okay for a bunch of strangers that don't have a vested interest in your household to be able to tell you how to live your life every single day. Look up the true definition of a husband. Look up the true definition of a man. And if that's not what you're married to, you ain't got to submit to nobody. Now, when they start acting the way that their role is befitting, that's when you submit. Now, I know this is going to, rub some people the wrong way, but that's just too bad. And if you get rubbed the wrong way behind it, guess what? You're probably one of the people I'm talking about. So while you're sitting up here criticizing me, why don't you go in the kitchen and see how empty your cupboard is? Look at that pile of bills that's sitting on your table instead of worrying about what I got to say. Look at your situation. But no, just because a man says that he's Mr. So-and-so and puts a ring on your finger, you automatically got to submit. If he's not exhibiting the qualities as a man or a husband by spiritual definition, you don't need to submit to him. You don't. And that's all I'm going to say on that. Just saying.